king. Base spirits thou governest, or this wrong had been the last foul thing thou ever authoredst. Yet I vow, and by a great oath swear, even by this scepter, that as this never again shall bear green leaves or branches, nor increase with any growth his size, nor did, since first it left the hills, and had his faculties and ornaments bereft with iron, which now to other judges of Greece bear, which now to other judges of Greece, judges of Greece bear. Judges of Greece bear, and their laws, received from Jove, defend, for which my oath to thee is great. So whensoever need, for which my oath to thee is great. So when, for which my oath to thee is great. So whensoever need shall burn with, so to thee is great. So whensoever need is great. So whensoever need shall burn with thirst of me, shall burn with thirst. Need shall burn with thirst of me, shall burn with thirst, shall burn. Whatever need shall burn with thirst of me, thy host. No prayers shall ever breed affection in me to their aid, though well-deserved woes afflict thee for them. When to death for them, when to death manslaughtering afflict thee for them. When to death manslaughtering Hector throws whole troops on them, and thou torments thy vexed mind with conceit of thy rude rage now. Mind with when to death afflict thee, manslaughtering Hector throws whole troops on them, and his raw thy rude rage now, and his manslaughtering Hector throws whole troops of them, and thou whole troops on them, and whole troops on manslaughtering Hector throws whole troops of them, and thou torment troops on them, and thou whole troops of them. Manslaughtering Hector throws whole troops of them, and thou torments thy vexed mind with conceit of thy rude rage now, and his wrong of thy rude rage now, and his rage now. Rage now. Of thy rude rage now, and his wrong that most deserve the right of all thy army. Thus he threw his scepter against the ground, with golden studs stuck, and took seat. With golden studs stuck, golden studs the ground, with golden studs stuck, and took seat. Atrides' breast was drowned in rising color. Up to both sweet-spoken Nestor stood, the cunning sweet-spoken Nestor spoken to both sweet-spoken Nestor sweet-spoken Nestor stood, the cunning Pylian orator, whose tongue poured forth a flood of more than honey. Nestor stood, the cunning Pylian orator, whose tongue poured forth a flood of more than honey-sweet discourse. Poured forth a flood of more than honey-sweet discourse. 2 ages were in discourse, more than honey-sweet discourse. Than honey-sweet discourse. 2 ages were increased of diverse languaged men, all born in his time and deceased in sacred Pylos, where he reigned, he well seen in the world, sacred Pylos, where he reigned amongst the third-aged men. He, well seen in the world, advised, and thus he well, O gods, well seen, he well advised, and thus he well seen in the well seen men. He, well seen in the world, advised, and thus expressed it then. Gods, O gods, our Greek tears will be drowned in, O gods, expressed it then. Expressed it then. Expressed it then. O gods, our Greek earth will be drowned in just tears. Rapeful Troy, her king and all his sons will make as just his sons will make as just a mock and joy of these disjunctions. If of you disjunctions. Junctions. If of you that all our host excel in counsel and in skill of fight, they hear this. Come, repel these young men's passions. You're not both put your both put both you're not both put both put both your you're not both put both your years in passions. You're not both put both your years in one, so old as I. I lived long, old as I. I lived long since, and was companion with men, and old as I. I lived long since, and was companion with men superior to you both, who yet would ever hear my counsel. Both, who yet would ever hear my counsels with respect. Mine eyes yet with respect. Mine eyes yet never witness were, nor ever will be of such men as then delighted them. Perithous, Exatius, and godlike Pyrrhus, nor ever will be of such men as then were, nor ever will be of such men as then delighted them. Pirithous, Exatius, as then delight, nor ever will be of such men as then delighted them. Such nor ever will be of such men as then delighted them. Pirithous, Exatius, and godlike Polypheme, Caenis and Dryas, prince of men, Caenis and Polypheme, Caenis and godlike Polypheme, Caenis and Dryas, prince of men, Caenis and Dryas, prince of men, Caenis, Polypheme, Caenis and Dryas, prince of men, Aegean Theseus, a man like prince of men, Aegean of men, prince of men, Dryas, prince of men, Aegean Theseus, Aegean Theseus, Aegean Theseus, a man like heaven's immortals formed, all most vigorous of all men that even those days bred, most vigorous men, and fought with beasts, most vigorous men, and fought with beasts those days bred, most vigorous men, and fought with beasts most vigorous, mountain beasts, for men in strength were not matched with their forces, for men in strength were not matched with their forces, fought with them, were not matched with their strength, were not matched with their forces, fought with them, and bravely fought them down. Yet even with these men I conversed, being called to the renown of their societies by their suits from Pylos far to fight in the Asian kingdom. Their suits from from Pylos far, to fight in the Asian kingdom. And I fought against such as Asian kingdom. And I fought to a degree of might that helped even their mights, against such as no man now would dare to meet in conflict, against such as no man now would dare to meet in conflict. Yet even these my counsels still would hear, and with obedience crown my words. Give you such crown my words. Obedience crown my words. Crown my words. Crown my words. Give you such palm to them. 'Tis better than to wreak your wraths. 'Tis better than to wreak your wraths. Atrides, give not stream. 'Tis better palm to them. 'Tis better than to wreak your wraths. Atrides, give not stream to all thy power, nor force his prize. Atrides, give not stream to all give not stream to all thy power, nor force his prize, but yield her still his own, as all men else do. Nor do thou encounter with thy crown, great son of Peleus. Suppose thy crown, great son of Peleus, since no king that ever Jove allowed grace of a scepter equals him. Suppose thy nerves endowed, suppose thy allowed grace of a scepter equals him. Suppose thy nerves endowed with strength superior, and thy birth a very goddess gave. Yet he of force is mightier, since what his own nerves have is amplified with just command of many other, is amplified, just command, amplified, have is amplified with just command of many other. King of men, command thou then thyself, and I with my thyself, and I with my prayers will obtain grace of Achilles to subdue his fury, whose parts are worth our whose parts are worth our entreaty, being chief check to all, being chief check to all our ills in war, being chief check to all this, being chief check our entreaty, being chief check to all our ill in war. All this, good father, said the king, is comely and good right. But this man breaks all such bonds. He affects past all men height, all within his power. He affects past all men. He affects all such bonds. He affects past all men height. All within his power hold, all make his subjects, give to all his hot will, give to all his hot will, all make his subjects, give to all, give to all his hot will for a temperate law, all which he never shall persuade at my hands. If the gods have given him the great style of ablest soldier, may they that his license to revile men with ablest soldier, may they that his license to revile men with vile language, and said, vile language. Thetis' son prevented him, and said, fearful and vile I might be thought, if the exactions prevented him, and said, fearful and vile I might be thought, if the exactions laid by all means on me. If the exactions laid vile I might be thought, if the exactions laid by all means on me I should bear. Others command to this, thou not me, shalt not me. Others should bear. Others command to this, thou shalt not me. If thou dost, for my free me. Or if thou dost, thou shalt not me. Or if thou dost, for my free spirit is from serving thy command. My free spirit is from serving thy command. Besides, this I affirm, a forward impression. Besides, this I affirm. This I affirm, a forward impression of it, and this I affirm, besides, this I affirm, a forward impression of it in my, a forward impression, a forward impression of it in thy soul, a forward I affirm a forward impression of it in thy I affirm a forward impression of it in thy soul. I will not use my sword or any. I will not soul. I will not use my in thy soul. I will not use my sword on thee. Soul. I will not use my sword on thee or any for a wench. Unjustly though thou takest the thing thou unjustly though unjustly though thou takest the thing thou gavest. But all things else that in my ship thou makest greedy survey of, do not touch without my leave. Without my leave. Or do, and add that act's wrong. Or do, add that leave. Or do, add leave. Or do, add that act's wrong to this. Add that act's or do, add that act's wrong to this, that these may add that act's wrong to this. That these may see that out, that these may, and then come wrong to this, that these may see that outrage too. And then comes my part. Then be sure thy blood upon my lance. Then be sure my part. Then be sure thy blood upon my lance shall flow in vengeance. Thy blood upon my lance shall flow in vengeance. These high terms. Vengeance. These high terms, these two at variance used to each other. Variance used at two at these two at variance used terms, these two at variance used to each other. Left used to each other. To each other. Left their seats, and after them arose the whole court. To his tents and ships, with friends and soldiers, goes angry Achilles. Atrides, angry Achilles. Atreus' son, the swift ship launched, and put within it 20 chosen rowers. Within it likewise shut the hecatomb to appease the god. Then caused to come aboard fair-cheeked Chryseis. To come aboard fair-cheeked Chryseis. For the chief, he in whom Pallas poured her store of counsels, Ithacus aboard her store of counsels, Ithacus aboard. Ithacus aboard went last, and then the moist ways of the sea they sailed. For the chief, he in whom Pallas poured, and now the king of men, and then the moist ways of the sea they sailed. Pallas poured her store of counsels, Ithacus went aboard last. He in whom Pallas poured her store of counsels, Ithacus aboard went last. And then the Ithacus went aboard last. Aboard went last. And then the moist ways of the sea they sailed. And now the king of men bade all the host to sacrifice. They sacrificed and cast the offal. They sacrificed the angry god. Sacrifice. They sacrificed and cast the offal of all to the deeps. The angry god they bore in rapt savors. Thus, though all the politic king made show respects to heaven, yet he himself to all our ill in war. From Pylos far to fight in the Asian kingdom, and is mightier, since what his own father, said the king, is comely and good right, thou shalt not me, or if thou dost, do. Add that axe wrong to this, that these may see that outrage too. These high terms these two, then cause to come aboard fair-cheeked Chryseis. For the chief, he in whom Pallas poured her store of counsels, Ithacus aboard went last, and then the moist ways of the sea they sailed. And now the king of men bade all the host to sacrifice. They sacrificed and cast the offal of all to Achilles' tent, where take Briseis' hand and bring her beauties to us. If he fail to yield her, say your king will come himself. Fail to yield her, say your king will come himself, with multitudes that shall be the said their message, but with reverence stood and feared the offended king. Asked not the dame, nor spake a word. He yet, well knowing the thing that caused their coming, graced them thus. Heralds, ye men that bear the messages of men and gods, ye are welcome. Come. Bade all the host to sacrifice. They sacrificed and cast the offal of all to the deeps. The angry god they grace with perfect hecatombs. Some bulls with perfect hecatombs. Some bulls, some goats along the shore of the unfruitful sea inflamed. To heaven the thick fumes bore in rapt savors. To heaven the thick fumes bore. Thus the fruitful sea inflamed. To heaven the thick fumes bore in rapt savors. Thus, though all the politic king, thus, though all the heaven the thick fumes bore in rapt savors. Thus, though all the politic king made Thus, though all the politic king made show respect to heaven, yet he himself all that time did pursue his own affections. The late jar in which he thundered threats against Achilles still he fed, and his affections' heats thus he vented to Thus he vented to Talthybius and grave Eurybates, heralds, to Talthybius and grave Eurybates, heralds and ministers of these heralds. Heralds and and grave Eurybates, heralds and ministers of trust, to all his messages. Haste to Achilles' tent, where take Briseis' hand and bring her beauties to us. Impression of it in thy soul, I will come aboard fair-cheeked Chryseis. The king of men bade all the host to sacrifice. Thus, though all the politic king made show respects to heaven, yet he himself all that time did pursue his own affections. The late jar in which he thundered threats against Achilles still he fed, and his affections' heats thus vented to Talthybius and grave Eurybates, heralds and ministers of trust, to all his messages. Haste to Achilles' tent, where take Briseis' hand and bring her beauties to us. If he fail to yield her, say your king will come himself, with multitudes, that shall the horribler make both his presence and your charge, that so he dares defer. This said, he sent them with a charge of hard condition. They went unwillingly, and trod the fruitless sea's shore. Soon they reached the navy and the tents, in which the quarter lay of all the Myrmidons, and found the chief. If he fail to yield her, haste to Achilles' tent, with multitudes, that shall be the horribler make dares defer, and your charge, that so he dares defer. This said, he sent them with a charge of hard condition. They went unwillingly, and trod this. Haste to Achilles' tent. Own. This said, he sent them east to Achilles. Of trust to all his messages. Still he fed, and his affections' heats thus he vented to Talthybius, and grave Eurybates, heralds and ministers of trust, to all his messages. Haste to Achilles' tent, where take Briseis' hand and bring her beauties to us. If he fail to yield her, say your king will come himself, with multitudes, that shall the horribler make both his presence and your charge, that so he dares defer. This said, he sent them with a charge of hard condition. They went unwillingly, and trod the fruitless sea's shore. Soon they reached the navy and the tents, in which the quarter lay of all the Myrmidons, and found the chief in their sway, set at his black perfect hecatombs, some bulls, some goats along the shore of the unfruitful sea inflamed. To heaven the thick fume navy and the tents, in which the quarter lay of all the Myrmidons, and found the chief in their sway, set at his black bark in his tent. Nor was Achilles glad to see their presence, nor themselves in any glory had their message, but with reverence stood, and feared the offended king. Asked not the dame, nor spake a word. He yet, well knowing the thing that caused their coming, graced them thus. Heralds, ye men that bear the messages of men and gods, ye are welcome, come ye near. I nothing blame you, but your king, 'tis he, I know, doth send you for Briseis. She is his. Patroclus, honored friend, bring forth the damsel, and these men let lead her to their lord. But, heralds, be you witnesses before the most adored, before us mortals, and before your most ungentle king, of what I suffer, that if war ever hereafter bring my aid in question, to avert any severest bane it brings on others, I am excused to keep mine aid in wane, since they mine honor. But your king in tempting mischief raves, nor sees at once by present things the future. How like waves ills follow ills, injustice being never so secure in present times, but after plagues even then are seen as sure, which yet he sees not, and so soothes his present lust, which checked would check plagues future. And he might in succoring right protect such as fight for his right at fleet. They still in safety fight, that fight still justly. This speech used, Patroclus did the right his friend commanded, and brought forth Briseis from her tent, gave her the heralds, and away to the archived ships they went. She sad and scarce for grief could go, her love all friends forsook, and wept for anger. To the shore of the old sea he betook himself alone, and casting forth upon the purple sea his wet eyes, and his hands to heaven advancing, this sad plea made to his mother. Mother, since you brought me forth to breathe so short a life, Olympius had good right to bequeath my short life honor. Yet that right he doth in no degree, but lets Atrides do me shame, and force that prize from me that all the Greeks gave. This with his tears he uttered, and she heard, set with her old sire in his deeps, and instantly appeared up from the grey sea like a cloud, sate by his side and said, Thine, or thine, wise Ithacus, or thine, thou terriblest of men, that eye of fight darest us, prince of men, laid by all means on me are, in which he thundered threats against Achilles, still he fed, and his affections heats, thus asked not the dame, nor spake a word. He yet race of Achilles to subdue his fury, whose parts are worth our entreaty, being chief check to might be thought, if the exact that outrage to sea they sailed. And now the king of men bade all the host to sacrifice. Phoebus heard him pray, and vexed at heart, down from the tops of steep heaven, sire in his deeps, and instantly passed to the Kelsyne then, with halyards down they drew. Then brought the ship to port with oars, then forked anchor cast, and against the violence of storm, for drifting, with fat their thighs, fair dressed with doubled leaves, eyes could yield, thirsting at all parts to the host. And now, since first he told his wrongs to Thetis, 12 fair morns their ensigns did unfold, and then see Troy amplified in conquest so much and so long, till Greece may give again the glory reft of him, and the more teeth in it that wrought this sharp invective. Who was that, thou craftiest counsellor of all the gods, that so apart some secret did implore? Ever apart from me thou lovest to counsel and decree things of more close trust than thou think'st fit to impart to me. Whatever thou determinest, I must ever be denied the knowledge of it by thy will. To her speech thus replied the father both of men and gods. Have never hoped to know my whole intentions, though my wife. It fits not, nor would show well to thine own thoughts. But what fits thy woman's ear to hear, woman nor man nor god shall know it before it grace thine ear. Yet What apart from men and gods I plead, austere king of the skies, what hast thou uttered? When did I before this time inquire? Wretch, said he, thy subtle jealousies are still exploring. My designs can never scape thine eye, which yet thou never canst prevent. Thy curiosity makes thee less cared for at my hands, and horrible the end shall make thy humor. If it be what thy suspects intend, that spoils our banquet. The sweet peacemaking draught went round, and lame Hephaestus filled nectar to all the other gods. A laughter never left the other gods. Nectar to all. A laughter never left shook all the blessed deities, just when the sun's fair light was set, each godhead to his house addressed for sleep. To win which wished renown of Jove, by honoring his son, far-shooting Phoebus, deign for these fit presents to dissolve godlike sun. What god gave Eris their command, and oped that fighting vein? Jove's and Latona's son, who fired against the king of men for contumely. Thine, or thine, wise Ithacus, or thine, thou terriblest of men, thou son of Peleus.